everybody. Welcome to the Landcast. This is Nathan, VP of Chastain Land and Title, and I'm joined by our fearless leader, CEO, Brandon. How are we doing today, Brandon?
Doing great, Nathan. It's nice and cloudy outside.
Nice and cloudy outside, but it's never cloudy when I say hello to Jeremy, our president. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing great. I can't see outside, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of
I think it's probably great.
like you're inside of a box.
You are in the dungeon. Well, guys, today we are joined by some great guests. We have Julie Woodard, president of the American Association of Professional Landmen, the AAPL, one of the most respected leaders in our profession. Julie has spent more than 2 decades in the industry. She's held leadership roles with Expand Energy, earned a bucket full of awards, more than we have time to list. One of Hart's influential women in energy. We've also got Le'Ann Callihan has been kind enough to join us. She is the executive vice president and COO of AAPL and NAPE. And her history with AAPL, I believe, goes all the way back to 1989. She's been part of the growth and strength of AAPL and NAPE for decades. She's also one of Hart's Oil and Gas Investors 25 influential women in energy. So we are excited to talk about them today. I guess to start off, welcome, ladies. And can you each just tell us a little bit about what you do for AAPL and kind of what your day looks like? Maybe starting with you, Julie.
Sure. Yes, so I have served on the board of AAPL on and off throughout my career for probably 20 years or so. And fortunately, I was given the opportunity to serve as first vice president this past year. And then on July 1st of 2026, I took over as president. And so, yeah, what a typical day looks like for me, we've got like 23 committees and about 216 committee members and volunteers. So a lot going on across all of those groups, working hard for our members every day. So I am on and off calls, bouncing between different committees, and then might be on a call like this or traveling somewhere to speak to a group. So that's kind of what my typical day looks like.
What's your favorite part of your job?
Oh, so this is something that I've always wanted to do. I've always had a lot of respect for those that have ended up in the role as president of AAPL. I think you have a real opportunity to serve all of your peers. So I've been a landman obviously my entire career, and I could think of nothing better to do than be able to collaborate and work with a lot of really good people that care a lot about our profession, very passionate about the profession, and work hard every day trying to make it better.
That's fantastic. So, and how about you, Le'Ann? What's a day in the life of Le'Ann Callihan look like, and what's your favorite part about it?
Well, as Julie mentioned, we have a lot of working parts with APL. As you guys probably know, we are also the managing partner of NAPE Summit, which is the world's largest oil and gas and actually all energy prospect expo. So every day we're kind of touching on events that are coming up, working to serve our members through education, advocacy, and through the services that we provide, publications. So I'm really just working with a great team to make sure that we are taking care of the landmen out there.
Well, today we want to talk about kind of what the future of the profession looks like, how the job is changing, and what AAPL is doing to interact with all of that. Let's talk about kind of the next generation of landmen and what you guys are seeing. Like, is there a good next generation coming up? Are companies doing enough to train young land professionals? Do we have, I mean, I've heard some people say, that we have kind of a knowledge transfer problem as experienced landmen are retiring. Do you feel like we're replacing them? Where would you gauge that we're at in terms of all that?
For the past 12 months plus, we've been working, our strategic planning committee has been working to kind of research this and hope to be able to uncover any issues that we see and hopefully mitigate those. We've engaged a third party to help us with some of that research. We do see that there is a potential risk of a potential shortage of landmen coming into the industry over the next couple of years, I think is when we start seeing that. And then by 2040, looks like there's probably some shortage there. I think there's a variety of reasons why that is. I do think that there's a potential age gap, and we've seen it in the past. I think we're at another pivotal point where we need to really be encouraging young people to enter into the industry. We need to be able to provide enough training that we can kind of bridge a gap. There's, accredited programs that focus on, land management that AAPL supports. There's also certificate programs that are kind of popping up where there's needs in certain regions. So there's definitely a need and a desire for more landmen, and then, trying to get people in and make sure that they're trained appropriately is something that we're trying to help with. And so AAPL, exists to provide education to our members. And what we're really looking at now is, okay, how do we make sure that next generation stays in the industry, and then how can we attract more? So we're doing a lot of, collaboration and communication with universities, with others, like I mentioned, that have started some of these certificate programs, and then just, trying to do as best we can to speak about the profession, help people understand what a landman looks like today. Like what you do today isn't what you did, as far as just the types of energy that you're focused on working on. There's all kinds of projects and opportunities that just go well beyond, that I think are super attractive, that I'm hopeful, young people see a benefit that maybe they didn't see, and it's more attractive. I also certainly think that the show has helped with that a little bit. I mean, there's some momentum behind just awareness of what a landman does. So there's a lot there.
I think Julie's exactly right. And the only thing that I would add to that is when the energy we like to call expansions, really came to the forefront a few years ago, we expanded the definition of land work to include all energy sources instead of just focusing on oil and gas. However, we will never abandon our roots in oil and gas, and it's a huge part of a landman's role and our business. However, the neat thing for land professionals is their skills transfer to all energy sources, and everything starts with the dirt. And so there's so much opportunity. And so instead of being afraid of working in renewables and those sorts of things, we've embraced that, and we've provided renewable energy certificates, and just trying to provide more opportunity for our members and encourage young people who are trying to define what career they want, that energy is a great career, and the land profession is a great way to start, but also, encourage students that we talk to that learn, finance, all the things, because you never know what those experiences will lead you to. I mean, the energy industry is such a fantastic place to network, and there's so much opportunity. Land is a great way to start, for sure.
I guess I have two things to say about that. One, to speak to what you were saying, I went to TCU, was an English major, and I was there right when the Barnett Shale was taking off, and then got involved because friends were landmen, and then, discovered this great career. And my humanities research degree has actually been fairly useful. Like we're, with title and all that. So it's been a good transferable skill. And then moved up here to Indiana to get my MA, and ended up back in the world again. And so here we are. And then also, so we are also in the IRWA, and we were up there at their annual education convention not too long ago. And it's really interesting how many people in the IRWA started as landmen or still consider themselves landmen. So just what you're saying, like this, it's a big, broad spectrum of who, of the energy industry, what the skills that a landman has can actually transfer to, right? And so there's even, I think, cross pollination opportunities, even with other associations. I don't know if what you think about that, but like you have the IRWA, AAPL, these things that actually are in pretty similar worlds,
It's funny you mentioned IRWA. My team members, we just had a meeting yesterday. We met with their CEO, Tim Brennan, I think is his name. Anyway, and we're working on hopefully a new webinar series for IRWA members and APL members that will culminate at NAPE, hopefully provide networking opportunities, for the people that participate in this series to then, we'll have, it's still in the planning processes. So, but we're excited. We're basically excited to, establish that partnership with the IRWA, and let's all work together to, provide education, for all members. And we did a little trial analysis of, how many crossover members do we have? And we had, I think, like 1,100.
Yep.
So, that's a great group to work to provide networking opportunities and education opportunities.
Yeah, and the education opportunities are fairly similar to some extent. We taught 3 classes at the IOGA Education Convention. They were about title, and they were about meets and bounds, legal descriptions, and stuff like that. These are skills that people need either as a landman or as a right-of-way agent. And so, yeah, it's great.
We may need you to do one of our webinars then for our series.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, I mentioned the third-party research that we've been doing over the last year. And there's over, I don't even have the exact number, but it's over 30,000 people that are technically registered as landmen of, some type, right? It falls into many different buckets. And then you see that we've got, just over 10,000 members in AAPL. And so you start thinking about there's so much opportunity to connect with a much larger group of people that are out there, practicing what we would all consider land work in some form or fashion. And the other thing that I would add that I think is important to think about, I've just spoke at NALTA's convention in Arizona this week on Monday, and in talking with their president, and she asked me, she said, "Hey, we'd love to, collaborate more with AAPL or kind of start trying to bridge the gap between, lease records analysts and landmen." And I have had that on my radar for a bit and plan to talk about that quite a bit. From my role at Expand, we had integrated all of the groups into one. So land was all of land administration, surface, and EMP, and all reported up to me for the Northeast. And there's so much from a fundamental skill set level that is all just basic land skills that everybody has. And so there's really not a reason for those things to be separate. And I think it would be very beneficial for all land professionals to have some idea, if nothing more than just being an associate member of some of these other associations, you have a knowledge and understanding of what it is that they do. You're going to be a more well-rounded land professional, no matter where you are, whether you're in-house, in the field.
That's right.
And so that's a goal that I have. And I think AAPL will have going forward, is just to communicate more and try to learn from the other associations that have members that work with our members. Yeah. So I think there's a real opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So as we've grown our business, we've dabbled in other markets as well, like commercial, within their title insurance. And we got to know surveyors, and there's so many things that they can bring to the table educationally and help expand your abilities as a landman. And it's just, that's great to hear. Yeah.
How do you think that we attract new people to the industry? So I've been going to a BNI meeting here in town and just trying to figure out how to explain to people what we do. And the one hook that I've found that everybody responds to is the Billy Bob Thornton show. You can just say the Landman TV show and, tell them how many times you got kidnapped by the cartel last week. And, they understand that that's the key for an outsider to understand our industry. But, what can we be doing to bring new people in and get them connected to this wonderful industry?
One of the things that we've done, well, of course, we embraced the show again. So when we first heard about this show coming out, there were a lot of members that wanted to, for us to try to, downplay it or take a negative approach. But we were like, no, let's embrace this. Any advertising is great. When you have the word Landman on a billboard in New York City, Times Square, I mean, what better advertising is that when it's a profession that a lot of just a normal person hasn't heard of? When I got the internship when I was going to TCU way back in the day, I took an internship class and that's how I got the job at AAPL. And I'd never heard of a landman. I've never heard that word before. And look at me now, 30 something years later and loving this career. And so I think embracing the show has really helped as far as students. A lot of our accredited universities now are doing specific classes, called like Landman 101. I know there's one at TCU that I helped with. And then the other thing we've done is we have a student awareness committee, and we participated in conferences of like Texas, and we actually have done the National Counselors Association. So trying to get information about our professional into like the high schools and to their counselors. So when students kind of are talking about, what colleges they want to go to or what careers are out there, we're just trying to provide more information about that. But we also would just really ask the industry and, guys like you, go into your communities and talk about it. Go into the schools when they're having, career day and talk about what a great industry and what a important industry we all work for. So.
Yeah.
I would just add, in addition, AAPL is doing a lot of advocacy work, and I think that helps and will end up helping kind of the pipeline of the workforce. But we have to make sure that there's a recognition of what it is that we do, and that there's a recognition that what we do is very important. So we do a lot of work beyond just talking to landmen about landmen or students or prospective students, but just other trade associations. We are a part of the Ham Institute AI and Energy Initiative, and that allows us to kind of be in a room with a different set of people. When you talked about some of the, commercial projects and power generation type projects, like that's a whole space that we want to make sure that, landmen are a topic of conversation on that front too, because I believe, and I think we believe collectively, the skill sets of landmen can make those projects successful. And the lack of a landman in those projects can, really halter a project. And I think we're gaining traction there. And so I think just being a part of some of those broader conversations outside of our profession helps with that. And certainly, I mean, like Le'Ann said, we've embraced the show. I bet more people than not want to talk about that first. New York Times reached out last week. We've got, kind of a dialogue going with them. They're going to be doing a piece. We've done a lot more of that over the last couple of years than ever before, probably. I mean, Le'Ann could speak to that, but certainly that has raised that, hey, what is this? This is interesting. Let's have a conversation about it. To her point, what better advertising? I think that is probably the best way to get into, that next generation is by the things that they're going to see. My son is going to be a junior in high school, and I always tell this story. He has a friend who just graduated in May, but his last semester of high school, he came to me and said, hey, I want to learn more about what you do. I'm going to go to OU and I'm going to be in the energy management program. I know I'm going to do that, but like, I want to start working now. And I was like, this is weird. I just asked him, I said, hey, why are you interested in this? Is it because of the show? And he was like, well, yeah. I mean, so it was just like, okay, right away, like, I don't sit around and talk to my kids about what I do,
Right.
Nor do I talk to their friends about it and try to promote it. But then it kind of clicked. I thought, I really probably should, because they know I am a landman, and they also watch the show. And so we should have a conversation about, hey, this is what I really do. This is, maybe parts of that are exaggerated, but, there are a lot of, similarities. And I think that's an opportunity that we have. that we need to take advantage of on the advocacy front for sure. So we have a lot of things. You have an administration that is favorable, and you have Hollywood.
Yeah.
So there's two things that we should definitely be taking advantage of. Yeah.
So what do you, I'm sure there's some people listening who, would love to advocate in their community, but maybe they just don't know what to say or like what do you say to a junior in high school about the industry? What are kind of the talking points that you'd give somebody like that?
We actually have some tools that we can provide, like the Student Awareness Committee, they have a PowerPoint presentation that, is pretty easy to go through that anybody could utilize. And so if someone's listening out there and just give us a buzz at APL and we'll provide you some tools to use if you do want to, go into a classroom and do a presentation, on either the land profession or the energy industry, at large.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity also to shout out Seth Whitehead and his work at the Illinois Petroleum Resource Board. He was on the podcast. Local things like that you can support would be great because he does that advocacy. He goes and educates students at high schools and stuff like that. So find your local places. You can also, give some support to them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And also Switch Energy Alliance. Scott Tinker heads that up. It's switch.org. They also have a lot of great resources for that sort of thing.
So if you guys were 22 today and you were starting over and you were looking at this field, what would you focus on for the next 5 years, let's say?
Honestly, I wouldn't do anything different. I would do exactly what I did. I would, because here's two things. One, I mean, obviously the focus was oil and gas, traditional energy sources, and that's still going to be a huge part of the mix going forward. So I don't think anything changes there. And I think this has been one of the most rewarding, exciting, unique careers that I could have ever stepped into. And I wasn't sure. I mean, my first degree was in economics. I thought I was going to go to law school. Pretty much all but enrolled in law school, and then had a conversation with the OU's energy management program director, who changed he said, hey, what about, you like contract law and you like real property law? Why not think about energy management? And I started looking into that, and I thought, this sounds fantastic. So I would do nothing different. I would do the program. I would enter into one of those programs if it were me, and advice that I would, give my kids. And I would go all in. Now, when I say that, the other thing that I think is super important to me is membership and connectivity. I mean, the way in which I think you're successful as a landman is your network. And that was a piece of advice I got when I was a student, and I've never stopped being involved either locally or at the national level. And the friendships, the network that you build and you make over that period of time, or, even the first year, are significantly important. Deals have been done through those networks, just long-term friendships and relationships that you just never know where things are going to take you. So I would do nothing different. I would do exactly what I did.
Well, for me, I'm technically not a landman. So as I think I mentioned before, I graduated from TCU with a journalism degree and a business emphasis, and just kind of developed my career through AAPL. So what I would do different though is, try to be a part of a big deal, like learn more and hopefully partner with someone and buy some leases and actually be a part of a successful deal.
Yeah.
I could be the PR person though. Like I said, I'm not a landman, but I'd want to be a part of it in some way.
Real easily. Well, I will say, I shouldn't have said I would do nothing different. If I had the ability to do more and see more, and I just went straight in house. I mean, it was busy. There was no time for anything else. We had so many rigs running. when I interned at Chesapeake and then went full time. I never had the chance to go and work in the field. I never had a chance to, work closely with anyone in land administration. We were separate. We were huge organizations at that time. So I do wish I would have had more time to learn more outside of just what my role was. So that I would say, and I do give that advice to people, is don't get so focused on just going to, in-house to be an in-house landman. Like, there's so much more that can benefit you long term of your career. So I will say that.
Yeah, we found that to be true for the people who, like, we have in-house reviewers and like that. But if they have that field abstracting experience or just being out and seeing the various sides of the industry, it's really useful. So yeah, I think that's great advice.
This is such a great American profession. Like it is. This is one of those industries where, people still go out, they still meet people, they still see the land. You can still have a great, handshake deal between people, at a conference. You can still all that kind of stuff that you associate with the best of our nation's business and infrastructure is still so true of this industry.
You bring that up, probably one of the most favorite things that I've had over my career, and most recently over the last several years, is, we would have at Chesapeake and then Expand, at least once a year where we went and met and kind of had a town hall type meeting, just with a smaller group of some owners that are pretty actively engaged and involved. And that was the most rewarding thing that I've probably ever done, to go out and have conversations with the people who are truly impacted by the work that you're doing. It gives you a sense of purpose in what you're doing, which I think is just super exciting. And I feel like if you don't have that, you're missing out on really understanding the value that you're creating and that you're adding to not just, having a great career and not just one or two landowners. I mean, you're truly impacting lives. I mean, you truly have a purpose of, solving a problem that the world has, right? And so to me, that's probably the most motivating thing about being in this industry. And I think back to what we were talking about earlier about how what would you say to somebody trying to attract them into the industry or to the profession? I think it's that too. My hope is that students and people coming in to the workforce are thinking of, that it's important to them to think about doing something that makes a difference and an impact. And I think this is probably the easiest way to do that and the most rewarding.
Another thing that I would want to add is, this business is all about relationships and developing relationships, and that part is so rewarding. And then when you talk about AI and all the things, is AI going to take over a landman's job? It's really just going to enhance a landman's job, because where the landman is so valuable is sitting across the table from someone, developing that relationship with people. And, an AI bot can't do that part of it. And so having those skills is not only rewarding, but also so valuable.
Well, let's tackle the obligatory AI question. I'm sure you guys have to handle this every time you do anything like this, but should people be scared of AI? Are there parts of are there things that we should be looking for technology to eliminate? Are there things that we should be careful about automating? Are there things that we should be appropriately scared of about AI? What's your guys' kind of take on all that?
I think we absolutely should embrace it. I think it's, a tool that can be used to help us be more efficient. And to Le'Ann's point, if I can have AI help me with things in the office and kind of in the background, it leaves me more time to be able to go have those conversations and meetings of face to face, whether that's with landowners or with future potential partners, other companies, things like that. I mean, just at a very high level, the efficiency should not be something that scares us. You can't replace that human element. I don't think it'll ever replace people. Now, I think you can absolutely see benefit from automating certain things. And I think that's where people should really look to, is where can we work more efficiently. But yeah, I don't think it's anything to be scared of. I think if you are proficient in it and you are aware of the things that you can use it for, I think that's healthy. And I think that if you're not, then I think your job could be at risk, but it's just because somebody else is going to take it that knows how to use AI. So I don't think it's the bot that's going to take your job. So and we have an AI committee that is focused on trying to ensure that we are providing education to our members on just basically answering your question. What should I think about using it for? What should I be cautious of? And they'll have some webinars and things coming out soon to kind of tackle some of those questions.
The point about efficiency is great. We have a software we use where we've been using some AI applications there. Jeremy has been working on it, especially with the guy who does our GIS. And I think that's right. It's not really decreasing our team. It's making our team sharper, more efficient, more effective. And it's kind of getting rid of some of the busy work that nobody wants to do anyways,
One, you have to embrace it, like you said, Julie. Like it's not going anywhere. The other end of it though is that AI, anytime I, take a picture of something and ask AI to help me think, how could I remodel this room to make it look better? I'm thinking about that because we're buying a house. The amount of energy that is used for AI is insane, which makes us more valuable because there's going to be more need for energy going forward. There's going to need, going back to IRWA, the right of way, that we're going to need, all of the infrastructure that we need, all of the resources that we're going to need, let alone, think about the value of a landman when it comes to negotiating deals for these data centers. The data centers are the boogeyman right now, but we're going to need them if we're going to continue to do AI in the way that we're doing them. And these data centers, they need a lot of land. So what do they need? They need a landman to come in and help negotiate out those rights. They need a landman to do the title, to do to make sure that the project is going smoothly. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about it. I think people should be. There's always risks with any technology that's new, but we always have found a way. People were scared when the internet came out, that it was going to revolutionize and change things drastically. It did, but we're all still here. We find a way to utilize it and make us better. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
To your point, we now have a data center hub at NAPE.
Yep.
Because just like you were talking about, it does, open opportunity.
What is something that you guys think maybe there isn't anything, but are there things that the average landman doesn't understand maybe about what AAPL does, or what you guys what's kind of going on behind the scenes that you would like more people to understand?
Yes, most definitely. I think one of the major things that AAPL does that's behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about is the advocacy efforts that we are doing, not just in the legislative realm, which that is humongous. We have a director of government affairs, Russell Cohen, that does a fantastic job, and he works with the committee, and they are tracking like hundreds of bills constantly. We are fighting legislation. We've had a couple of wins just in the past year of protecting the landman's right to work. We've the independent contractor issue. We're always at the forefront of that, and so we're constantly, having a team work on that. APL, part of our budget is for that, for those efforts, so that we can, be ready to fight off anything that would be detrimental. So I would think, I think advocacy is a huge thing that a lot of just the average member doesn't know that we're doing in the background. Another thing, I just is NAPE. And when we started NAPE and the concept of, bringing buyers and sellers together to, stimulate the economy and get deals done, and it's grown to this, huge event that everybody, if attends, but what it really is, it's a service to the industry. It's providing a service, and it's providing value to companies and individuals. And I just don't think people think of it that way, but it truly is. It's a service. I mean, we host NAPE with the IPAA and SCG and AAPG, so the geologists, all the disciplines, and and it's there to bring forward new technologies and trends and keep the industry going and to provide this great service. But I just think a lot of, and Landmen started that in their entrepreneurial nature, their innovative skills. A group of Landmen started NAPE, and we've kept it going. And I think people just sometimes, forget about that.
Yeah, I agree with what Le'Ann said. Definitely the advocacy. There are, I mentioned it earlier, but there are, like officially 23 committees and 216, landmen that volunteer their time to those committees to work on all kinds of different things. Advocacy is, one piece. We have a government affairs committee as well that works with Russell, who Le'Ann mentioned earlier. But there are things that are happening. I mean, whether it's the creation of a new form that is to be used, so new mineral deed form, or the JOA, or the exam, there's people that work on those things to bring that to fruition. And so I think, those that have been involved with the board have a really good understanding of what additional value AAPL brings through all of the work and all of the support that comes to it. However, I think there are just, and I mean, there's a lot of information that we put out there on this services and different things that AAPL brings. I think we're doing even more of trying to just show, even this year, I'm wanting to show faces and names and tie it to work that's being done, which I think is helpful, because for me, it's beneficial for me as a layman to see that my peers are doing something on my behalf. So I can tie, the chairman of the membership committee is a landman who's a peer of mine. It's not, it's somebody that's working with staff, with Le'Ann and staff. But it's also, peers are invested in this. And, the network and connection piece, I think, is just very, very invaluable. And that, I think anybody that doesn't take full advantage of NAPE or, plugging in with their locals, they're just missing out on that piece, and they don't see that value piece. But really, it's not only just, again, valuable to that person and that individual for their career, it's valuable to the company, whoever they're working for. If I'm an employer, I want to make sure, like, I'm not going to be the one that's able to provide training for, in most cases, for, my land team to be caught up on and understanding and able to meet the needs of a power generation project. But I'm hopeful that professional association is going to be able to provide that to my team. And so I think you could probably pick just one or two things. Every person has more than gotten the value out of their membership. So, I think just, conversation. I've had all kinds of conversations with people that haven't really been connected with AAPL. They've been members, but not really knowing, like, they just do it to be a part of it, and they get, all the letters and, the newsletters and the, any other information they see, and they have a network, they can put it on their resume. But when you really start talking about it and you really mention some of these key things, they're like, oh, wow, like I had no idea. So, again, I think it's our job to make sure that information is out there, because unless you're in it, unless you're on the board and you're in it day in and day out, you don't know.
One of the other programs that we're super proud of is our professional development assistance program. And so AAPL provides assistance to, up to $300 if you want to attend an educational event. So basically, that's more than what your membership cost by far. And so we're really proud of that program. And then we also have a disaster relief program that was established when Hurricane Harvey was so devastating, and AAPL I think put up, it was over $1 million. And so when there are natural disasters, we've had members who can fill out an application. It's very easy. And, AAPL has, given, quite, hundreds of thousands of dollars to help our members through those types of, disasters.
That's
so
great.
we're really proud of that too. It's something very different for an association and especially that really doesn't have anything to do with that specifically, but that's the type of people that APL is made up of. And honestly, that was a huge reason why I've stayed in this career for so long. I mean, the people are just incredible. And so that's just one example.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So let's say that there's a member that's listening who's like, man, I've paid my dues and kind of been a part of things because that's what you do. But I'd like to get more involved. I'd like to take more advantage of some of these things. Where would such a person start, and what kind of thing? I know it probably varies depending on what they need, but are there some just like classic things that people don't take advantage of that they ought to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my responsibility right off the bat is to reach out to us. Call me, email me, call Le'Ann, call AAPL, go to the website, and have a conversation. And I'm more than happy to. We've got a lot of people that are more than happy to talk to people about what they think they should plug into or get involved with, or take advantage of, or point them in the right direction if there's a specific education gap that they need to fill or something like that. Or if they just want to, help on a committee, love to have those conversations.
Yeah, we have a very robust website, landman.org. And you can sign up to be a volunteer through the website. If you would like to volunteer on a committee, we do have a form you can fill out. Or as Julie said, shoot us an email is also fine. But also on our website, we have our charities, we have our education foundation, our Landman Scholarship Trust, all of those things that you can learn about. So, if people are interested, I really just encourage them to, give us a call or, visit landman.org if you want to learn more about all the things that APL does and is about. And then as far as NAPE, if you're curious about participating in NAPE, that website is napeexpo.com. So NAPEEXPO.com.
Well, thank you so much. You ladies have been very generous with your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight today about your work with AAPL or NAPE or anything that should be on people's radar?
Again, I want to plug our events. We have regional institutes throughout the year in locations all across the nation. So check those out. They're great events to learn and obtain education credits. And then also, I don't think we mentioned in our conversations today, our certification program, which is another great way to enhance your career. You can start as a registered landman and then promote to an RPL, which is a registered professional landman. And then ultimately a goal would be to be a certified professional landman, which is what Julie is. And, our compensation surveys we do every year show that if you do hold a CPL designation, obviously your pay is going to be higher and have more opportunities to be in your job and to be hired. People look for that CPL designation. So I encourage anyone to reach out to us to learn more about that program.
Yeah, no, I would just say I would leave you with, we're working every single day with every single member in mind. So we are working for you. If you're a landman out there, we are working for you. We are trying to make sure that you have opportunities that you wouldn't maybe otherwise have. We are trying to make sure that there is sustainability for the profession over the course of, the next lots of generations. So those are focuses of ours every single day. And if you have an idea, if you'd like to have a conversation, we are more than willing to have that conversation. So just reach out to us.
Yeah. And mark your calendar for June of 2027. We will be headed to Washington, D.C. for our Landmark conference, which is also includes our annual meeting, but we're going to do some new things there. It's going to be fantastic, a great opportunity to network, to learn, to have fun in Washington, D.C. And so we really want people to start embracing this new conference called Landmark, which is formally we refer to it as annual meeting, but it's so much more than just an annual meeting. So we want to start getting people excited about it. So I hope all of you guys will come.
Yeah, that's
too.
awesome.
Yeah,
That
awesome.
starts this summer, the new rebrand.
Yes, Landmark.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic. That sounds great. And Washington, D.C. is a great town to have
Yes.
fun in. Lots of cool
Yeah.
stuff to see. And if people haven't done it, I
Yeah.
encourage that. That's a great opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank
thank you for
Thanks.
having us. We really appreciate
Yeah, I
it.
appreciate all you guys do for the organization.
The Landcast is a production of Chastain Land and Title. For uncompromising accuracy and land work across oil and gas, commercial, telecom, energy, and more, check us out at chastainland.com. If you enjoyed this conversation, please leave us a review and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us each week as we keep telling the stories of the land industry.